Hey guys, welcome to my legal classes. This is Ganesh Pujari, and in the series of Indian Penal Code, we were discussing chapter 3, which is all about punishments covered between section 53 to 75. And in that series, this is my 8th video, and from last 2 videos, we have started discussing on all those provisions related to fines which are covered between section 63 to 70. As there are many sections available there, we decided to divide them and understand, and in that series we have already understood 2 parts covering section 63 and 64 and then 65 and 66. While understanding section 65 and 66, we have understood what happens there is default of fine when the punishment is both imprisonment as well as fine. Here under section 67, we are understanding the impact of default of fines when the punishment is fine only. So this is going to be very interesting. I will also compare this with section 65 and 66 and make it very clear. With that, I am taking you to the first slide. Before I start any discussion on section 67, I would like to recall section 65 and 66. There we discussed about default of fine when the punishment is both imprisonment as well as fine. Okay. Here what are we discussing? Under section 67, we are discussing imprisonment for non-payment of fine when offence punishable with fine only. There it was imprisonment as well as fine. Here we are discussing punishable with fine only. I hope that is very clear. That is what we are understanding under section 67. My chart makes it very clear, but before getting into my chart, let's quickly read through the bare act provision. It says, if the offence be punishable with fine only. So the first line is very clear. The imprisonment which the court imposes in default of payment of the fine shall be simple, and the term for which the court directs the offender to be imprisoned in default of payment of fine shall not exceed the following scale, that is to say, for any term not exceeding 2 months when the amount of the fine shall not exceed 50 rupees, and for any term not exceeding 4 months when the amount shall not exceed 100 rupees, and for any term not exceeding 6 months in any other case. This is in a very simple English and a very easy section, and as always, to make it further easy, I have my chart below. The first and foremost thing under section 67, or the difference between section 65, 66 versus 67 is, here the offence is punishable with fine only, whereas under section 65 and 66 it is imprisonment as well as fine. It is not one among them, it is both. Here it is fine only. That is the first box you need to understand. So the punishment was fine only. However, whenever there is any default of payment of such fine, now the court has told, okay, you have to pay certain amount of fine as punishment, and here the offender fails to pay such fine, or there is default of payment of such fine. In that case, there will be imprisonment, but at what description? Whether it will be rigorous or simple. Now that is what you need to understand from the green box. It will be always simple imprisonment. Guys, under section 67, we are discussing about those offences where the punishment is fine only. In such cases, for default of payment of such fine, the imprisonment for such default of payment of fine, the imprisonment will be simple only. That is the first and foremost thing that you need to understand. Okay, first thing, the offence is punishable with fine only. Secondly, there was default of making payment of such fine. Thirdly, such default will lead to imprisonment, and that imprisonment will be simple imprisonment. Okay, these are the first 3 things we understood from first 3 boxes. Now moving on to the 4th box, which is about the scale of imprisonment. To what extent imprisonment can be given? If the fine is 50 rupees or below, and if there is default of making payment of such fine, the maximum imprisonment can be 2 months, not more than that. When the fine is 100 rupees or below, okay, it is more than 50 rupees, but below 100 rupees. In that case, the maximum imprisonment for default of such payment of fine is 4 months. And in the worst case, if the fine is more than 100 rupees and if there was default of making payment of such fine, the maximum imprisonment can be 6 months. I repeat, 0 to 50, there will not be 0. 1 rupees to 50, the maximum imprisonment is 2 months. 51 rupees to 100, the maximum imprisonment for default of such payment of fine will be 4 months. 101 to any extent, the maximum imprisonment for making default of payment of such fine will be 6 months. I hope that is very clear. Now, if you have watched my previous video where we discussed section 65 and 66, there under 65 we discussed about 1/4 of the imprisonment. I also told the example that if it was 10 years of imprisonment, then 1/4 will become 2.5 years. But here we are talking about only maximum of 6 months. So where is the difference? The difference is there the offences are punishable with both imprisonment as well as fine. Here we are discussing about fine only. I am shouting so much because I want you guys to understand it very clearly. If you are preparing for judiciary exams, this is a very sensitive point that you need to always keep in your mind. When it is punishable with fine only, whatever offences punishable with fine only, what is the maximum imprisonment? It is 6 months of simple imprisonment. If it is 1 rupee to 50 rupees and if there is any default of making payment of fine, then maximum 2 months. Between 51 to 100 rupees, default of fine leads to maximum 4 months, and anything about 101 and above, there the maximum imprisonment for default of making payment of such fine is 6 months only, not beyond that. I hope that is very clear. I will give 2 examples in my next slide. The class will continue. In between, I just wanted to share an important update with you guys. I have joined the Unacademy team as an educator for CLAT 2023 batch, and I would like to request you all to download the Unacademy app and follow me there also. And while buying the subscription over there, please buy the subscription with my code GYAN07, that is GAN07, to get additional 10% discount. And what's happening in Unacademy this week? I will be conducting a lot of classes along with quizzes, and we have new batch coming up for 1 year comprehensive batch for CLAT 2022, which is Art of Law. Alongside, we also getting new batch that is named as Rankers batch, which is a 2 years comprehensive batch for CLAT 2023. You can join all of these, and whenever you are subscribing Unacademy, please use my code GYAN07, which is GYAN07. Please join Unacademy accordingly. So in our previous slide, we have understood that if the fine is 50 or below, in that case the maximum imprisonment will be 2 months of simple imprisonment, and if the punishment is up to 100 rupees fine, the maximum imprisonment can go up to 4 months, and if the fine is more than 100 rupees, in that case the maximum imprisonment can go up to 6 months. Those are all maximum imprisonments, and remember, all of them will be simple imprisonment. That is very important. And then I was searching in IPC to find some offense where the punishment is 50 rupees or below and the punishment is fine only. Fortunately, unfortunately, I couldn't find anything like that, so I am not able to give any example for that. But the fine up to 100 rupees or may extend to 100 rupees, there is one offense, that is an amendment section 489E, where we are discussing about making or using documents resembling currency notes or bank notes. Here for this offense, what is the punishment? Punishment is fine which may extend to 100 rupees only. Imagine somebody has committed this offense and the punishment is 100 rupees fine, and there is default of making payment of such fine. In this case, what can be the imprisonment? The imprisonment can be simple imprisonment, which can go up to maximum of 4 months. I hope that is very clear. Coming to the last part, where the punishment is fine only and the fine is more than 100 rupees. You can get lot of provisions like that, and I have taken one example, that is section 278, where we are discussing making atmosphere noxious to health. Here the punishment is fine which may extend to 500 rupees, and if anyone defaulted making payment of such fine, the imprisonment can go up to 6 months, which is the maximum limit. I hope I am repeating everywhere it very clearly, because I need you guys to understand that these are maximum limits. So here the maximum imprisonment can be simple imprisonment of 6 months. I hope that is very clear. With that, I am handing over this presentation to Nishan.
Guys, never forget to have fun in your life, like I do with my father. With that, I'm concluding this session. Please subscribe our channel. Please like, share and comment our videos. Thank you.